Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Chris with Occupy, here with some NFL DFS picks and tips for the Week 7 slates on FanDuel and DraftKings. Hard to believe we're already basically almost halfway through the season, but we're ready to dive in and talk a little bit about the action here in Week 7. As you know by now, we're dropping these position previews throughout the entire NFL season. They hit our channel on Wednesday afternoons, so if you want to see these each and every single week, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel below. That's how you get notified when we have a new position preview video for you. It's also how you get notified when we have just new content in general for you on the Occupy YouTube channel, so you want to make sure you have that subscription taken care of. If you like what we did here today, really appreciate it if you consider giving us a thumbs up on the video. Lets us know that you want to see more of this work moving forward. Certainly helps us out a lot. Do you have any questions about quarterbacks for Week 7? Easiest place for you to do that is drop one in the comment section below. We also have a Discord you can consider joining, and in there you can talk to the staff and other Occupy members about not just quarterbacks, but really everything going on in the NFL. Now NBA, NHL, which is just kicked off in the regular season. So lots of things going on in the DFS world for you to talk to other DFS players about in that Discord. Would love to see you in there. Big bye week Armageddon here in Week 7 in fantasy football land. I know that that's something season-long players were dealing with waiver wire stuff. Well, we have to deal with it in DFS as well. We're without a lot of great teams this week. No Buffalo Bills, no Dallas Cowboys, no Los Angeles Chargers, no Minnesota Vikings, no New Orleans Saints or Seattle Seahawks players because they're on a Monday Night Island game. So they're not on these main slates this week. So where do we go? Well, at the quarterback position, thankfully, it's pretty easy to decide what you want to do in tournaments. As we like to do here at Occupy, we like to game stack. And really the things that are standing out early here in Week 7 are some of these higher total opportunities on the board. Whether they're higher total games or just teams with high implied team totals due to the environment in betting markets. First game that we like has the highest total on this slate. I saw it at 57.5 points. It's the Chiefs at the Titans. So you're going to see that game in that 56, 57 point, maybe even 58 point range with at sportsbooks from odds makers this week. Chiefs are favored by 5.5 points. Implied total of about 31.5 points. That means we definitely, as always, want some exposure to Patrick Mahomes in our game stacks, in our tournament lineups. Still playing very well this season. I know that the Chiefs are not living up to expectation, but it is not because of Patrick Mahomes. Certainly the turnovers are a little bit more than we've ever seen from him, but still very efficient as far as yardage is concerned, still giving us multiple touchdown passes per game. As long as that's continuing, we're going to be interested in the most explosive offense in football. Something to watch with Mahomes. Looks like Tyreek Hill is a little banged up, didn't play the entire game last week, came off the field for a decent amount of snaps. Let's see if he's able to get back to his full complement of work in Week 7 here against the Tennessee Titans. That would certainly be important for Mahomes in terms of being able to hit his ceiling. But without any other game really in the neighborhood of the over-under total as the Chiefs and the Titans, it does feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to be one of the quarterbacks you want to play this week. The Titans actually just the 30th pass defense this year, so not much resistance expected in the secondary from the Titans against Mahomes either here in this matchup. Mahomes also doesn't have the best defense on his side, which is why Ryan Tannehill is an interesting option. Just 6,400 on DraftKings, 7,600 on FanDuel. I think Ryan Tannehill will have an opportunity to get there, especially if the implied game script here plays out, which would be the Titans trailing. It would force the Titans to throw the football probably a little bit more than they want to, would force them to use Ryan Tannehill's arm a little bit more than they want to, force them not necessarily to rely as much on Derrick Henry on the ground if that takes place. So Ryan Tannehill becomes a really intriguing tournament option at quarterback. If he is able to keep this team competitive, particularly in the second half, should be able to see the fantasy points start to stack up for him at quarterback. Chiefs allowing the most yards per play on defense in the entire NFL. I believe it's 6.7 yards per play right now. So definitely not an opportunity for Tannehill to get it done in fantasy football in Week 7. The next game that I'm most interested in from a game stacking perspective is actually the Packers and the Washington football team. You have Aaron Rodgers, who still playing at a pretty high level, not necessarily the MVP level we saw last year, but actually has probably his best matchup of the season so far. The Washington football team is allowing 310 passing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's certainly something Aaron Rodgers would be happy to see. Certainly something that tells us that he should be able to have some success against this football team secondary, which just has not played very well so far in 2021. Washington actually 26th in yards per play allowed, allowing 6 yards per play to opposing offenses. The Packers should be able to continue that type of efficiency against this defense here in Week 7. On the other side, very similar to his spot last week as the underdog against the Chiefs, we have a fairly affordable Taylor Heineke at $5,200 on DraftKings, $6,900 over on FanDuel. And he actually, believe it or not, stands behind the third best pass blocking line in the NFL right now. So that'll certainly help him in the passing game as they're chasing points against the Packers, again, in the most likely outcome of this game. And the Packers are just a 22nd ranked pass defense by that Football Outsiders DVOA that we like to look at here. So certainly an opportunity for Heineke to bounce back and play a lot better than he did last week, where he just gave us 10.3 fantasy points. You can see on the screen here. Definitely due for some regression in the production department here, and couldn't necessarily come at a better time than right now when we need maybe some value in game stacks from Heineke at quarterback. The Ravens and the Bengals. This is a division matchup. Has a little bit of a lower total, 46.5 points, but it's hard not to be interested in Lamar Jackson ever. Now, last week was not great. Gives 167 passing yards, only one total touchdown from Lamar Jackson, just 13.78 DraftKings points here. I want to say this is the lowest scoring game he's given us in the last couple of years since he's been a starting quarterback. So his floor is baked in. Lamar Jackson is probably going to play a lot better than that here in Week 7 against the Bengals. He's probably going to have to. Not going to expect 3 different running backs to score rushing touchdowns again for the Ravens. 3 touchdowns that Lamar Jackson was not involved in whatsoever. Definitely feel like that efficiency is going to turn around, and Jackson will continue to be one of the highest floor-ceiling combinations quarterbacks in the game here in Week 7 against the Bengals. On the other side, very similar to Heineke, Joe Burrow is... they're not playing in a very pass-heavy offense, but if they are going to be trailing against Baltimore, which is implied, Baltimore's getting 6.5 points in betting markets, Burrow's going to have to throw the ball a bit. He's going to have to focus on his buddy Jamar Chase from LSU. He's going to have to focus on T. Higgins. Going to have to focus on Tyler Boyd running routes out of slot positions. Joe Burrow will have to keep the Bengals competitive against the Ravens on Sunday, and that's why he becomes an interesting value quarterback if we like players on both sides of this game. And I definitely do think Bengals receivers are interesting this week, so more on that in our wide receiver video. Hope you check that out as well. Not just game stacks on the board this week, we may have just some total one-sided opportunities to look at. The first one that stands out to me is the Los Angeles Rams. They have a 33-point implied total in betting markets. They're favored by 16 points over the Lions this week, so obviously that means we're interested in Matthew Stafford. Stafford's been pretty reasonably efficient all year. Hasn't given us less than, look, 18.2 points here in Week 2 was his low on the year, and he's been over 20 points every other week. Feel like that's probably going to continue here. And I don't want to necessarily call it a revenge game against the Lions. I think Stafford probably is happy about his time overall in Detroit. I think he had a good experience there, but Stafford definitely going to prove to them that he's in a much better place now, and probably going to make them regret not having him anymore, right? By playing very well, living up to the expectations in betting markets here in Week 7 against his old teammates. The Rams have the second best pass blocking in the NFL right now, and the Lions are in the bottom 5 in terms of pass defense, also allowing 6.4 yards per play to opposing offenses, which is third in the NFL in terms of best matchup for a quarterback. So not only does Stafford get to play against his old buddies, he's got a great matchup against their defense here as well. Probably someone we're interested in here in Week 7. Other quarterback that I can't get out of any video without talking about, Kyler Murray is still playing extremely well. 4 touchdown passes against the Browns despite the windy conditions last week. 25 fantasy points in that game. Now facing the Houston Texans. 17.5 point favorites. Cardinals are the biggest favorites on the slate. Definitely think Murray is obviously going to have to make that go, right? So that means Murray and his favorite targets in the passing game. That would include Chase Edmonds at running back, who is their pass catching back. Definitely in a good spot here in Week 7 as they face the Texans. Those are the quarterbacks that we're looking at here at Occupy Fantasy in Week 7. If they're a quarterback that I didn't mention that you want to hear more about, please leave a comment below. We'd be happy to talk to you about them down there. You can also consider joining our Discord, where, again, we're happy to talk to our YouTube viewers, other Occupy subscribers about every single NFL slate that's going on throughout the year. Obviously, a great place to be. That's going to do it for the rundown. For more information, keep an eye out for our daily plug, which will hit OccupyFantasy.com on Friday afternoon. We'll give you not just our favorite expensive and value plays at quarterbacks on this slate, but also our favorite running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, everything that you need to be successful in Week 7. Most importantly, the plug will cover our strategies for high-risk contests. Those would be your tournaments, your leagues that you play, small contests, and low-risk lineups, which would be your head-to-heads, double-ups, things like that. We actually take our favorite plays for the week, and we actually tailor our recommendations to the type of contests that you intend to play. So that's definitely the most important section of the plug to read. Make sure that you don't miss that. Once again, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel below. It's how you get notified when we have new videos for you. We certainly would appreciate that. And if you like what we did here in this video, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Let us know you want to see more of this throughout the NFL season and in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Once again, I'm Chris for Occupy. I'll talk to you soon.